Woo! I'm a ghost! All joking aside, I know that everybody's been looking forward to this video. I know that there have been people that have been following my journey from the day I moved in. I know that there are some that just tuned in and are really intrigued by it. So I guess this is what we're talking about today. My house is haunted. Okay, so we bought this house in 2015. We moved in August. September is when we started noticing things. The first thing was when I heard scratching over the baby monitor, and I had assumed it was Rain trying to get my attention because she liked to hear me talk back to her because my portal to her baby monitor had a talk button on it, and I could talk back to her, and she used to think it was like a magic trick. So I simply just told her, Rain, go to bed, and the scratching stopped. My ex had gotten home, and it started up again when we were in bed, and we thought it was Rain again, so we kind of got up and just went in her room to tell her to stop. She was sleeping. We went back in our room, laid back down, happened again. So we got up, went in there, she was sleeping, like we thought she would be. We unplugged the baby monitor and we took it with us. We were spooked. Who wouldn't be? It literally sounded like somebody was scratching the holes or tapping on the baby monitor, sitting real close to it. So we were trying to come up with an explanation as to what was happening, and we just kind of chalked it up to, oop, malfunction, it's the baby monitor's broken. And on our way back to our room, I had to go to the bathroom, and being as spooked as we were, I didn't want to walk back from the bathroom to my room by myself in the dark, so I asked my ex to hang outside the bathroom door until I was done peeing. And he said, yeah, just make it quick. So as I'm peeing, I can hear him out in the hallway talking to somebody. And I asked him who he was talking to. And he said, what do you mean, who am I talking to? I'm talking to you. You just said hello. Wasn't me. Didn't say hello. Shit was not me. And I don't even think I finished peeing, to be completely honest with you. Pretty sure I just, hightailed it out of the bathroom and, sped past him. You wouldn't have even seen me. It was, faster than the speed of light. And, of course, he came, running behind me. We shut the bedroom door. We climbed in bed as quietly as we could because our sleeping 2-month-old was in there. And we pulled the blankets up to our faces, and we were, nervously laughing about it because, that shit's scary. So the next day, once that kind of fear settles out, we just kind of swept it under the rug and ignored it. Well, things never happened consistently. They always happen weeks or months apart. So the next thing that we had happen was our basement has our chimney right in the middle of it, and the chimney leaks when it rains. So we had a pretty good rainstorm, and the basement had a streak of water across it. And it was about 2 to 3 inches wide. And you just kind of had to be careful when you go down there because you didn't want to step in it. Because who wants wet feet or to step in muddy, disgusting, dirty chimney water? Not me. So I was doing the dishes one night, and my ex had gone downstairs to, get the laundry or do something. And he came back up and he asked me how my wet sock fell. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, your sock's wet, isn't it? I said, no, my sock is not wet. First of all, if it were wet, I would not be standing here calmly doing the dishes in said wet sock. Because who likes wet socks? That's disgusting. That just makes my feet feel creepy crawly. No, thank you. So he came over and physically investigated my socks. When he discovered that they were not, in fact, wet, he just kind of walked away. Bye, and didn't say anything. And I just was like, well, that was fucking weird. And I continued doing whatever I was doing. In bed later on that night, he said, do you want to know why I asked you if your sock was wet? And I said, oh, I guess so. And he's like, I didn't want to tell you before because I didn't want to spook you. Plus, I was pretty spooked myself. But I went downstairs, and on either side of the line of water was a heel print on one side and 5 toe prints on the other. And it looked like somebody had put their foot in it already, so their foot was wet, and it looked like somebody just kind of stepped over the stream, and it just made a footprint on either side. And it was about your foot size, so I just assumed it was your foot. So that kind of, that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I got goosebumps. I was like, oh, what the heck? That's weird. So kind of ignored that too. The next day we were like, whatever. We'd go down to the basement together for the first couple weeks. We wouldn't do laundry separately. I wouldn't go down there to feed the cats. Nobody would clean the cat box separately. we did everything if it had to involve the basement together. And then eventually we just didn't feel creepy down there anymore. And we, you know, started going down there separately and doing things. Like I'd do things during the day, I'd go to work, he'd do things. So again, just kind of brushed it away and whatever. So the next thing that happened, we were laying in bed one night and we were playing Xbox and we had stopped, we had turned it off, and we were laying in bed talking and the Xbox turned on. Not only did it turn on, but the tray came out. And it turned on and the tray came out and turned off several times. And we froze. Like when I say froze in fear, it is a legitimate action. There is my body, there was no way any muscle in my body could have possibly moved at that moment. I was so terrified that I couldn't reach up 2 feet to turn the light switch on. It was that terrifying. And finally, we had mustered up the courage to turn the light on and get up and like close the tray and turn it off. But that was so terrifying. Had either of us not been there, probably would not have been as scary as, you know, to the other person, you know, telling it to them. They were like, no, maybe it was just a malfunction in the remote. Maybe the button got stuck on the controller, you know, whatever. Except that wasn't the case at all. We checked the remotes. There were no stuck buttons. It stopped on its own and it was just nuts. So after that had happened, we were on higher alert because like, obviously all these things that were adding up, they weren't happening consistently, like I said, but they were still happening. So I remember when I was 8 months pregnant with our youngest, and I was laying in bed early in the morning. He had gotten up to get ready for work, and all of a sudden, my shins started to burn bad. And I'm like, ow, ow, come here, hurry, quick, take the covers off, my leg burns really bad. And he took it off, and there were scratch marks on my leg. And like, I just looked at him, and he's like, what did you do to yourself? I'm like, I didn't do that. And he said, you had to have. There's no way. First of all, I'm 8 months pregnant, and I can barely reach my shin as it is. Second of all, have you ever seen a cow try and get up from laying position? Like, that shit is a struggle. It does not happen in a blink of an eye. That takes some time, and he probably would have seen me sit up and scratch my leg. So after 15 to 20 minutes or so, the scratches seemed to have disappeared, but the burning stayed until like 11:30 or 12 in the morning. And it didn't go away until nap time. It was a burning like when you're younger and you're running through, you know, a field, or you're running through like a patch of woods and you hit those stupid thorn bushes and they scratch up your legs, they scratch up your arms, and it burns. It was like that, but 10 times worse. So I would not wish that pain upon anybody. Plus I was pregnant and I couldn't bend over to even see my leg. So it was pretty intense. Like, not only now are things happening, but now I'm touched. I didn't do it. My cat wasn't in my room, and it looked like somebody scratched me from my knee down towards my feet. So I couldn't have done it, and he definitely didn't do it, and my cat's paws aren't that big, so he, even if he was in the room, couldn't have done it. So it was very, very terrifying. It instilled fear in me, and I was afraid it was going to happen again. So I made sure to sleep with my feet under the covers, never stuck my foot out. So, you know, after that, things stopped. Every once in a while, after I had moved my son into my daughter's room to make room for the baby in her own room, I noticed that their closet door would open a lot, and it's one of those ones where you have to like really shove it in there, and I have to slam my whole body weight against it to get it to latch and to close. And then when you open it, the pressure releases and it makes a really loud noise, and then you have to yank it open. And, you know, I would go in there in the morning to get them up for, you know, school, and I would notice it was open knowing that I had closed it the night before. And I would ask my oldest, you know, did you open the door? And she's like, no, I didn't. And she's like, must have been Luca. But there's no way that my 1.5-year-old could have opened that door. There's no way that his body strength could have opened that. I can barely open it. So after that, you know, me and my ex had split up, and still little things were happening. My friend Jerry was over one day, and we were in the kitchen, we were talking, and a water bottle that my son had put in the middle of the floor, full, it was never opened. He had taken it out of the package. It fell over, rolled across the floor, stopped. Some time went by, and I went upstairs to go to the bathroom. I came back downstairs, and it was several feet away from where it was, and Jerry had this terrified look on his face because he said it happened again. So I picked up that water bottle and put it on the table. Like, I was not about to mess around with that. My side door to my house we don't ever use because it's very hard to open. You have to use 2 hands. And it's just a difficult spot. It's got, you know, the basement door to go down in the basement and then the basement door that goes up into the house. It's just hard to maneuver, especially with kids and groceries and stuff. It's just not worth it. So I never used that door. And I went downstairs one day. I opened the first door to bring laundry downstairs. Laundry, not laundry. I was bringing laundry downstairs, and the door was open. It was propped open like 3 or 4 inches. So I immediately scolded my oldest because she has a playroom downstairs, and I just assumed that she maybe opened the door. And she's like, Mommy, I didn't touch that door. I haven't been in the playroom today. So I just kind of went over and shut the door and latched it, and I said, if it was you and you're not telling me, just don't do it again. So a couple weeks had gone by, and I, you know, had asked Jerry to come over because we were supposed to do some things around the house, and I needed his help. I think, like, take air conditioners out or something. But I had accidentally fallen asleep, and he had gotten here, and I never unlocked the front door, so he was, you know, going to go around the back and see if he could get in the back door, or at least one of the windows. But as he was going, he's like, I'm just going to, you know, check the side door, and he did, and it was wide open. It was open. He just pushed it open. He came in. He didn't need a key. He didn't need nothing. And so he told me, he's like, why did you have that door open? And I didn't. Like, I know I didn't because I went down to do laundry earlier that day. I knew it was shut. I was the only one home. The kids were with Dad for the weekend. So that was insanely creepy as well because who's opening my side door? Is somebody breaking in? Is it a ghost? Are they leaving my house vulnerable for somebody to come in and break in and steal things? Like, that's scary. I don't want to think about that. Like, it's bad enough that I might have a potential ghost. I don't want to think about somebody coming in my house and robbing me. I don't have to kung pao kick somebody in the teeth. I haven't been doing my workouts. I'm not even that strong. So, you know, it's those little things. Well, things started heating up. My past 2 events that most people who follow me and my events on Facebook will know that I've had some things happen this past weekend. And it didn't happen until after I decided that I was going to get a Ouija board. And I don't think, as well as the people that I've spoken to, the paranormal investigator that I'm working with, as well as a medium, they don't think that I opened a portal to a demonic thing. They don't think anything here is malicious. However, they think that, as well as I think, that I gave whatever's here permission to be more active, to be more communication apt, to be able to speak or try and communicate with me a little bit more openly. No, I wish I could take it back. Like, we used the Ouija board. It said some things, like it told me to run. It told me to put powder down in front of my closet door. Like, it just didn't make sense. And so, you know, it's just one of those things that you get. And when I was younger, my mom had one. And, you know, when I was a teenager, me and my friends played with one. We didn't think anything of it. Like, just whatever. The box says 8 and up. Like, obviously, 8-year-olds can summon demons. Like, it's fine. Obviously, if they said 8 and up, I'm 25. I should be able to play with a Ouija board if I'm 25. 8. Huh! So, there's no way in hell that my 7-year-old, when she turns 8, would ever touch that. Ever. Side note. So, like, we used it, and then Friday, I came down here at 11:30 at night to get Tootie a bottle, and one of the toys in the playroom went off. Not unusual for that to happen. It's happened several other times. Just kind of ignored it as, you know, and chalked it up to being dead batteries or batteries dying or, you know, toys settling, because Luca likes to go and, like, flip all the switches on and then leave them on. And then I'll be picking up toys and putting them in the toy bin, and, like, things will be talking to me and saying things and, like, all this other stuff. So I came down here to, you know, get Tootie a bottle, and the toy went off, and I ignored it. A couple minutes later, toy went off again, the same toy, and eventually it just was doing it consistently. It was going off and going off and going off, and I finally said, okay, I get it, out loud, and it stopped. It turned off. Like, it didn't do it again. I even, after I gave Tootie the bottle, had gone to the top of the stairs and listened to see if it was going to do anything, and it didn't. Honestly, like, on a side note, I'm literally waiting for, like, a picture to fall off the wall or the lamp to fall over because I'm talking about this stuff, but so far, nothing has happened. So, I mean, I guess it's a good thing. But, like, that was creepy to me. And then the next day, on Saturday, I left the toy on. And it didn't make a noise once until Luca started to play with it. So, I know the batteries aren't dying because it would have consistently done it until the batteries died. Or I came in here and turned it off. Or, you know, it wouldn't have been working as good as it is, you know, now or in general, because it would have been dead, or the batteries would have been dying. And Luca just got on it and it started making the noise like it normally does, and it just, you know, went about its business, and that creeped me out. And so Saturday, you know, I kind of tried to ignore it, and, you know, Luca was in the playroom playing, and he has a Learn to Grow Elmo, and it was laying on the floor, and it's one of those things you have to, like, unvelcro the butt, take the little thing out, flip the switch on, turn it back in, put it in, velcro it up, and Luca used to be afraid of it. So I never turned it on because I'm, like, afraid he's going to be afraid of it. And I'm sitting here watching TV, and they're in the playroom playing, and all of a sudden, Learn to Grow Elmo is in the toy bin, and he's talking. And Luca stopped what he was doing and looked up from the toy he had and went, "Elmo?" And went over to the toy bin and dug Learn to Grow Elmo out. Who turned him on? I didn't. I don't know. What? So that was like, I called my mom. I'm like, "Mom, Elmo's talking." I didn't turn him on. So just those, like, it was consistent. Like, these things were happening over a consistent time, like, not weeks apart, not months apart, hours apart. The toy that had gone off the night before, Learn to Grow Elmo. So Saturday night, Jerry had come over because I was, like, creeped out, and we had a couple drinks. You know, he ended up leaving, and I went to bed with a severe headache. So bad that I had to have an ice pack, but I fell right asleep. I ended up waking up at 2, and I remember having this, like, disgusting, nauseous feeling. I got up, I went to the bathroom, I came downstairs, took some medication, I got, you know, a new ice pack, I got a bottle of water, I went back upstairs, and I couldn't fall asleep again. And I was up for a couple hours, and Tootie woke up around 4, which is unusual. She doesn't wake up around 4 at all. It's usually in the middle of the night, especially if she didn't finish her bottle the night before. So I went in there to try and calm her down, and, like, she was just very frantic. So I came downstairs, got her a bottle, went back upstairs, and I was laying in bed, and I was finally getting ready to, like, doze off, and there were 3 loud pounds on my door. Not just simple knocking, not, you know, somebody knocking loud with their knuckles. No, these were pounds, like somebody was pounding with their fist. And instinctively, like, the first thing I thought was, it's Rain. So I said, "What, Rain?" And I swear I could hear her mumbling, but, like, she was crying. So my biggest thing was, she's probably scared. She probably had a nightmare. She probably got sick. She probably fell off her bed, had an accident, you know, something traumatic to a 7-year-old. But I couldn't hear her because my fan was on, so I got up and I opened the door, and nobody was there. She was in her room sleeping. The next morning I asked her if she had knocked on my door, and she said no. I couldn't fall back to sleep. I was terrified. And I know it wasn't my subconscious thinking that she needed me. It wasn't that realm where I'm half asleep and half awake but can still kind of hear things, and I'm, like, thinking I hear things, because the dogs acknowledged that knock. Both of my dogs lifted their heads. Both of them looked at the door. And that's when I realized, like, I'm done. I don't want any more part of whatever's happening. When I was younger, I thought living in a haunted house would be great, or going and, like, being a paranormal investigator would be fantastic. Like, now I live it, and I want it. Take it back. Just take it back. I wish there was a program where you could trade in the house that you're living in for a different house, because I would do that in a heartbeat. And it's, you know, becoming the fact that I'm accepting that something's happening, because once you accept it, you know it's real, and once it's real, you don't want anything to do with it anymore. And what gets me is, like, all of my friends, I love you all to death, I really do. You guys are so into this, and these stories intrigue you, and they scare you, and, like, you guys want more. I don't want any more. And However, one of my really good friends, Sarah, she had posted in a group looking for, you know, some sort of help, like a medium or something to, you know, point me in the right direction, how to smudge the house with sage or something. And she had gotten in contact with a medium, and, you know, she told me to say these prayers to clear the house. And I had said it on, you know, the night that I had spoken with them, and would you believe, that was 2 nights ago, and would you believe last night was the first night, and I can't remember, that everybody, including myself, slept through the night. Nobody woke up crying. Nobody woke up with night terrors. I didn't wake up and toss and turn. I wasn't up at 2 o'clock like I am every night. Everything was calm. I woke up the next morning, I'm like, did I really get a full night's of sleep? Like, did I really wake up this morning and have a full night's sleep? And it was crazy. I actually, you know, met with a paranormal investigator last night. He came over and, you know, looked at the house, and we had discussed some of the, you know, happenings and the history of the house. So 20 minutes later, guys, here is the big discovery of the house that everybody's been waiting for, and I apologize that this video is so freaking long, but this is what you get when you live in a haunted house and you want all the details, people. This is what you get. Anyway, I had typed in the address to this house on Google, and it brought up, of course, Trulia, Zillow, Realtor, to give you like the stats of the house, like how many square foot is it, and, you know, how many, you know, acres you have, or, you know, how big it is and what color it is and how much it is and the value, like school nearby, whatever. So, but if you keep scrolling, I ended up, you know, coming across this website called research.com, and I clicked on it, and it actually gave me a list of the previous owners. Since 2003, as far back as this records on this website go, there have been 36 named owners to this house. Now, DJ and I count as like 2 separate people, but we bought it at the same time. So I don't really count the owners as like separate people. I count them as like maybe groups of people. What really got me though is when you look at the month and year that they bought the house compared to the next person's month and year, nobody has lived in this house longer than 3 years. Why? No, really, I want to know why. Because August is my 3-year anniversary of living in this house, and I want to know why. I want to know what made all of those people move out of this house. So I get mail still for one of the old tenants, and her name is Melissa. I actually found her on Facebook, and I messaged her, and I told her I had some questions for her because I want to know if she experienced anything. Still waiting for an answer. Don't worry, you all will be the first to know when I hear an answer. And you guys will be the first to know if a paranormal investigation actually happens, or if I have a medium in here. I'm obviously going to do videos on it. So I would just, you know, stay tuned, and thanks for watching my forever long video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys are just as creeped out as I am. Although, side note, really actually pretty proud that nothing fell off the wall and nothing happened and nobody interrupted my video, because here we are. Okay, I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Be new videos whenever I get spooked or inspiration.